the improvements in code generation related to being compliant with unused parameters check, and this is the CLang tidy check that we addressed during this sprint. So it is checking for any parameters which are unused in the body of the function. We did analysis how many occurrences are in our generated code. So we considered the pieces of the code that are not controlled by the user. So these are the functions that are generated, that are created by our code generation, and they are not created by the users. For all these situations, the solution is to suppress, to use a special comment to suppress the warnings that are printed by CLang tidy static code checker analyzer. So I will show you in preferences. We already had before these code compliance preferences, and now in this sprint we have addressed these unused parameters warning to make sure that we are not generating functions that will be non-compliant with this check. So now this is checked, and I will build. I will use generate code preview. So, and now I will uncheck in preferences and generate code preview again. And now we see that there are differences in the generated code. First of all, for state machines, we are generating lots of transition and guard functions, and now this is how it looks like. So we are adding to the transitions, to the functions generated for transitions, we are adding these special comments that will suppress the warning about unused parameters. We cannot change the prototype of these functions because they have fixed prototypes, and we require them always to have these two parameters. But the body of the function is user defined, and we do not have any control or any knowledge of what should be in the body. And also we do not require that users must always use both of these parameters. So we know that this is a generated function. We are safe to suppress this warning. So this covers functions generated for transitions, functions generated for guards. Also, if we now see the second block of functions is the functions that generated for type and field descriptors. They also have fixed prototypes, and we cannot change the prototype of the function, and we cannot guarantee that in the body, we do not require that in the body the users must use all the parameters that we provide. So we are also generating suppressions in this case, and now you can see that this is num elements function for the type descriptor, a special function that is printing the number of elements. So here we have this suppression, and also init function, copy function, decode, encode function, destroy function. So all of these functions, they have fixed prototypes, and we are generating the suppressions for this unused parameters warning for them. There is another special case that Matthias has just described in the previous demo about the create and destroy functions that are generated for capsule parts. These are the new functions that have been introduced as a part of this custom capsule constructor support. So for them, we are also generating suppressions, and I think we can check it here in the top, where we have a capsule part. So this is the create function. It has a dummy implementation, so nothing meaningful in the implementation. But here we can see that also we suppress the warnings. But we do it only for the create function. So for destroy, you see we are not generating any suppressions because we assume that destroy has only one parameter, and it must be used inside. So actually, in this case, it's not necessary to suppress these warnings. There is one more special case for which we have implemented a permanent solution. It relates to this RTG map logical threads function, which is generated for a TCJS file. So in your TCJS file, if you have custom threads and you define some logical threads, and then define a mapping to the custom threads, then we are generating this RTG map logical threads function. It's fully generated by our code generator. It doesn't contain any custom code, and we can know in which cases we are using the parameters, in which not. So I will show you an example how it looks like in the generated code. And here, this is the function, and actually we are generating it in two flavors. One, if use threads is defined, and other else. So for else, we are always using this controller in the body of the function. But in case if we use threads, then if we are mapping all our logical threads to custom threads, then we are not using this controller at all. But the prototype of the function is a standard, so we cannot remove this parameter in this case, but we just are not generating the name of this parameter. So this omitting of the name of the parameter will help us to get rid of the functions. And only this solution, it is a permanent solution, so it's independent of the global preferences, but it is implemented in all cases. So now the generated code will look like this. It will also allow you to avoid conflicts if, for example, users will define one of their logical or custom threads, it will call them controller, then this conflict will be avoided. Of course, this is not a very common case, I hope. And last thing that I want to mention is that these suppressions, they are generated only for the special functions that we use in our code generation. So if we have a custom operation and it contains parameters unused, of course, for this custom operation, we will not generate any suppressions. And in this case, we want this warning to be printed because this is the whole purpose of it. But if user still wants to suppress this, then he has to do it himself in the model. And here I have provided some of the ways how this can be done. First of all, you can yourself directly insert this suppression, this special comment. It will get into the generated code. Then you can, so I will show you now generated code for this class 2. So here, the second solution is that you can manually insert this param2, just a dummy usage of this parameter. Since this is a user function, if you want to suppress the warning, you can do it like this. And the third solution is that you can omit the name of the parameter, or if you don't want to completely remove it, it is possible also to put it in comments. But for user operations, for user-defined functions, this should be done by the user, and we are not generating any suppressions in this case.